Greetings. Today is January the 3rd, 2022. This is my second YouTube video. I decided I wanted to start doing these. I'm going to try to do a few a week. Haven't really settled on like topics or themes or format. Obviously, I have some ideas that are rolling around, but right now I'm just sort of talking about myself, where I'm at right now in life, what I'm thinking about, what's going on. In my first video, I mentioned that I am currently experiencing the first prolonged health situation in my life. I have a persistent sinus infection, which causes me to have persistent headaches, pretty much a headache all day, every day, to varying degrees of severity. I'm not going to rehash all of that now, but I did make a couple comments in the last video that I thought would be of value, at least maybe to me, hopefully to you, to kind of talk about a little more. So I mentioned that having these headaches every day made everything more difficult, and that's going on for over a year, and it's been detrimental to my general health. That could mean a lot of different things. So maybe a little specificity there will be good for me to kind of catalog for myself. And if you were curious, or if you're experiencing something similar, it might be interesting to you to hear somebody else talk about it. So I was in the Army at one point in my life. I guess I was in the Army at different points in my life. I have several different enlistments. I joined the Army more than once, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's a topic for another video. But anyway, so I'm not, being physically fit is not a foreign concept to me, although I've never been like a super athlete. When I was in the Army, I had to meet the minimum standards. Often I tried to exceed those minimum standards. So it's like a 16-minute 2-mile, do 50 push-ups without stopping, do 60 sit-ups without stopping. And I met those standards, and for the most part tended to exceed them, although sometimes not by much, other times by quite a bit. One time I did 100 push-ups without stopping, so yay, be super impressed. Or not, it's what it is. The Army standards certainly are not peak athleticism, and so I think people who can meet them are probably in the healthier half of Americans. But anyway, just to kind of give you like a basis of understanding of what I think of when I talk about physical fitness in general and my own history with physical fitness. At one point, I did run a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, for those of you that aren't maybe familiar with that terminology. And it took me about 4 months to train up to do it. But I had a certain base level of fitness. So I was in the Army at the time, so I was already doing, for years, a certain amount of running, meeting those standards, setting different goals. So to get from wherever I was at that time to being able to run 13.1 for the half marathon took me about 4 months. I am certainly nowhere near in the shape I was in when I was in the Army, and certainly being sick for over a year, I'm in even worse shape. So I was actually doing a lot of outdoor activities. I was doing some landscaping projects, some building projects, and was getting a little leaner, getting a little stronger. And then the illness hit me, and obviously I haven't been able to continue those. So all that progress was lost, and then I've continued to kind of slouch. Now, I try to watch what I eat. I've never been a big dieter. I've always sort of been one to be like, I'm, getting a little heavy. I better be more active and just start burning calories that way. And there's a certain math to, weight gain and loss. It varies person to person. Metabolism is a factor. There are other factors, biological factors, but for me, it was always, pretty much the math. If I tracked what I was eating, I could track how much activity I needed to do during a day, and had a sense of, the different intensities providing different calorie burns, and I could manage my weight pretty well. When I was training for the half marathon, it was actually probably when I gained the best understanding of all that. I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted, and had to actually make sure to eat a certain amount to be able to have the energy to do the longer training days, the 8, 9, 10 mile days, as well as the actual half marathon itself. Which I actually, just to be honest, I actually only ran once. Um, so I trained. I ran a lot of 10 miles. I ran a couple 11 miles, but I actually only ran the full 13 the one time on the day of. But I got good enough at running 10 miles, particularly, that I was confident that I could, at the time, I could run the 13. So anyway, that's all a decade ago. I'm not trying to dwell on past glories. Again, I'm just trying to say, like, hey, this is what I think of as being a fit person. Maybe not a peak athletic specimen, but a person who is engaging their own physical fitness and trying to maintain a certain kind of standard. And I'm nowhere near that right now. And I wasn't when I got sick, but I was obviously better off than I am now, and I was making progress back toward fitness. Well, why weren't you fit to begin with, Jeremiah? I got out of the army, got lazy. That's the short answer. I don't want to sell myself short, though. There is a lot of psychology that goes into staying physically fit. A lot of people who struggle with their physical fitness, it's not that they don't know what to do. They might not know the specifics. They might not know the best ways to do it. But they have a general sense of, like, hey, burn calories, be active, do some things. And a lot of times it's a matter of motivation, and that's a matter of psychology. So I got out of the army, and I didn't plan on, like, just throwing my physical fitness to the wind. But the last time I got out of the army, had a pretty consistent civilian job, because I was in the reserves at the time, and I was pretty comfortable with my civilian job. And I lost it through no fault of my own, company just getting rid of people. And I lost that job, and I was unemployed for a little while, which, I was had some career momentum, and then I was suddenly unemployed. And so that threw a huge wrench, in my motivation. And there's all kinds of things I would have done differently, and there's all kinds of things that, me now would tell me then. And I have been in better and worse shape since that happened, 8 years ago? So I haven't just completely neglected my physical fitness for 8 years, but it definitely lost that military kind of baseline, and I've never quite been back to that point. Some people refer to it as their fighting weight. That's more of a boxer thing, but it's just people fitness and military specifically sometimes refer to, I got to get back down to my fighting weight, or get into fighting shape, and I haven't been in either of those. And so I kind of wanted to, at different points, and motivation, again, for different reasons. Life, we process it in different ways. I'm a pretty happy person, but, being happy and going to run for 3-4 miles are not necessarily correlated. So I've struggled with motivation, but I had a pretty good basis for motivation, and I had some pretty good calorie burning activities that I was doing, again, with my landscaping and some building projects. And, all that just kind of went away, because when you have a headache, well, I shouldn't say you, when I had these headaches, it was like the more active I tried to be, the more I tried to push through it, like the worse they would get in a pretty significant way. So that kind of got taken from me, and so tried to watch what I eat a little bit, but when I'm sitting around all day with a headache, for days and days and days, that I wasn't great at that. Like I said, I've never been a dieter. I've really been more of just focus on activity and calorie burn if I wanted to accomplish, something physically in terms of physical fitness. So, surprise, surprise, I didn't do well with that. So, my weight is up. I'm not happy about that. So when I say, get back into general physical fitness, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about losing some weight. I'm talking about being able to run a couple miles. I'm talking about being able to do some push-ups and some sit-ups. 50, 60, I don't know. That'd be nice. Get back into that fighting shape. But certainly, I can't do very many at all right now, and it hurts to even try because of the headache. So I've got to get this sinus infection fixed. I go to the doctor in a couple days. I'm going to get another antibiotic. It's a longer-term antibiotic. If that doesn't work, going to go see the ear, nose, and throat specialist. Like, doing this last thing with my doctor is sort of the barrier to get the referral to the ear, nose, and throat specialist. That's a whole nother conversation. But I want to get back into some kind of shape where I can run some miles, I can do some push-ups, do some sit-ups regularly without feeling like toasted, and then get back on some of these projects that I was working on. But at this point, I'm so rolled back on my physical fitness that there's actually a danger to getting out in some of these projects and possibly hurt myself because I try to do something, I'm not strong enough to lift this rock, or push myself too hard, doing some digging or whatever. So it's all something I have to think about. But I'm hopeful that I'm going to get well, and I'm looking forward to getting some physical fitness back into my life, and that will increase my general well-being. So I'll lose some weight. I always feel better when my weight is down. I've never been so skinny that I felt like I needed to gain weight. So that's just not an experience that I could speak to. But I've my weight's fluctuated throughout my adult life, and I always feel better when I'm more active. I always feel better when I've lost some weight. So I really want to do that. And I guess this video was primarily to clarify what I meant when I said my general health. I don't think my mental health is any kind of particular danger. I have relationships, I talk to people, I think the kinds of thoughts I want to think, I focus on the kinds of things I want to focus on. It's hard to write because of the headaches, particularly when I try to focus. I get a little blurry vision, not all the time and not really bad, but just enough that it makes writing hard. So I'm discouraged that I'm not writing, but I'm thinking, I make notes about ideas, about things I want to write. My mind is still in all the games, focused in all the spaces I want it to be focused on. I've just been limited in what I can do. One of the ironies, right, is, so like, you talked about all this fitness, talk about writing books. I'm not a huge video game guy. I feel like if I called myself a gamer, that's a little bit of a poser. But I do have an Xbox. I do, from time to time, enjoy playing a video game, and if it's a really good video game, I enjoy overindulging in playing a video game. But with these headaches, I've had all this downtime, so you think like, oh, Mac would have caught up on some video game playing, but I haven't. Actually, a friend of mine bought me a video game, trying to help me out, trying to say, hey, I played this game, I liked it, you'll like it too. And I didn't hate it, but I had a hard time, specifically with in the menus, there's inventory kinds of stuff, reading some of the stats and the text, and then if there was too much action, just with the headaches and the focusing causing some blurry vision, it just wasn't working out for me. So I haven't even been able to take the kind of refuge in like a video game. So that's kind of a tangent, but yeah. So general health and well-being was I think the phrase I used in the first video. So I kind of wanted to just be straight about, I'm talking about my weight, really. Some building up some general physical fitness, maybe, projecting out goals towards some, general athleticism. I may get into it and get in really good shape. I don't know, but I got to get in like a basic kind of better shape, and I really want to do that. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, hoping for, once we get these headaches and particularly the sinus infection that's causing them under control. And I just wanted to clarify that I'm in a good mental space. I have connections with my family. I have friends, and have the kinds of interactions with them that I'm wanting to have. I'm focused on the things I want to focus on. I just can't do a lot of the things I want to do. And that has its own, again, kind of discouraging, frustrating. Life ain't perfect, but when I talk about general health and well-being, I'm really talking about my weight and a basic level of fitness. I think I've said that like 3 times now, so I'm probably running out of things to say on this topic, and I'm about to hit the 15-minute mark, so I'll wrap this one up. But I want to end with just saying, at this point, again, I'm just trying to get some videos out on the channel, just trying to get in the habit of doing them, not trying to get any kind of complicated topics, which we may get into, not trying to do anything too thematic or certain formats, just just saying like, hey, this is me, this is where I'm at right now, here's a video on YouTube, another one in the bank, thanks for tuning in. If you want to ask me any questions, you're more than welcome to do so. There are things that I won't answer, but I won't be offended that you asked. So ask me, whatever you want, and that maybe give me an idea for video topics or whatever, and I'll try to be as open as possible. But you just have to accept that certain questions may not get answered. And I may not answer a question one time, and then a year later I may decide to answer it. I don't know. We don't know where this YouTube train's going or where I'm going to get off, but it's just something I wanted to try out. So 2022, second YouTube video in the bank. Thanks for tuning in.